started my company about 4 years ago because I saw a need for gluten-free desserts. So baking actually was not something I was at all interested in. I barely had patience to be in the kitchen. So I went to a bakery of someone I know and I asked for gluten-free desserts because right around this time I was doing my first bodybuilding competition I had just finished. And during that process I learned I was gluten intolerant. And so while I didn't have celiac disease, when I ate gluten products, I would get really, really sick. And so when I asked if they have gluten-free desserts, they told me they did. And then when I asked what the variety was, they said, oh, we have this one chocolate cupcake with vanilla icing, and we have this one vanilla cupcake with chocolate icing. But for traditional desserts, they had a plethora of things from German chocolate to red velvet to cookie dough. And I was like offended, and my feelings were kind of hurt because I wanted the variety and they didn't have it. So I actually didn't start baking until 3 years ago when my business began. So I was sitting at work. I was really, really sad because I just didn't feel fulfilled in the job that I was doing. And while I was at work, I would just have these moments where I would just seek God. And during that process, he began to speak. So one of the things he said to me was kisses from the Father. And I always remember Habakkuk 2:2 that says, write the vision and make it plain. So when the Lord began to speak certain things, I just began to write them, had this inkling to write them down. So kisses from the Father was something he spake. And then he said gold. And then he said white. And even when I discovered that the gluten-free desserts lack variety, I went to him and I was like, God, this is not going to work. Like, this little situation I got with my stomach needs to be fixed because I need variety. And he spake very clearly to me and said, you are you're the solution to the problem. And I was like, but I don't bake. And he said, but I do. I am the chief baker. And if you trust me, do you trust me? I will work. And so I began baking, and he spake kisses from the Father. And it just reminds me of like a good dessert. Like, people know, like, good dessert, it just warms your heart. Like, anybody would love to sit down with a good piece of pie or a good piece of cake. It brings families together. And so I feel like that's the same way with kisses. Like, we share love for many different occasions. So like when someone's sad, you hug. When your baby hurts themselves, you kiss the boo-boo. I feel like with desserts, it's that same way. Like, and he gave me James 1:17. It says every good and perfect gift comes from God. And so that's how kisses from the Father came to be. It's like through those desserts, I feel like God is giving kisses through that process. I don't really remember. The first dessert I think I began making were cupcakes. I started making these gluten-free cupcakes. My church had a women's conference, and God was like, you're going to do that conference. And I was like, there's going to be like 700 people, and I am just starting to bake. Like, this is crazy. And God was like, trust me. And we baked probably anywhere close to like 500 cupcakes with a variety of like 10 to 15 different flavors. And through trusting God, I sold 90% or more of everything I baked for that conference over a 3-day period. And so it was almost like running a bakery. So cupcakes were the first things I began to bake. And my favorite dessert ever is banana pudding. And when I discovered that I could not have traditional banana pudding because they contain the vanilla wafers. Some people like them with them shortbread cookies. That is not banana pudding. That is a gimmick. That is a sugar rush. But the ones that are made with those vanilla wafers and it crumbles, the vanilla wafers make banana pudding. And when you have to replace them, as I do because of my gluten intolerance, it made me so sad. So when I realized I could bake my own vanilla wafers, gluten-free and plant-based, and I could make plant-based banana pudding. I make plant-based banana pudding in jars. I make it in I make it as a cake, banana pudding sheet cake. I make it as cupcakes. I make it as a pie. So banana pudding is probably one of those staple desserts that people do order a lot from me. Social media is huge, given the climate of today, especially because I do not have a storefront. I do a lot of things through social media. So, one of the things that I'm branching out to doing now is giving tips on how to actually bake gluten free and plant based. Because I've heard so many people say plant based, ugh, their desserts are just disgusting, and gluten free, ah, it tastes like cardboard. But I just truly believe like quality of ingredients don't change. And so for me, like social media offers a platform for people around the world. I do ship internationally. So people around the world who have celiac disease or who are gluten intolerant, I've had the opportunity to share what I do and to share my desserts through those social media platforms. So it's really, really important, and it also makes it easier to reach the masses, because I bake sugar free as well. You have a lot of older and more mature saints, as we call them. They are starting to branch out and use Facebook more and Instagram, just because of the pandemic. And so now it allows me the opportunity to show them that they can have healthy dessert options even if they have diabetes. I have clients who have diabetes. I have clients who have 13 or more allergies. Being able to reach them, social media really does help in being able to reach people in all different areas of life and in different areas of the world. So this is probably the most near and dear thing to me. I'm very proud of my heritage. I think that when you think about Black culture, you learn that we say Black people don't have a culture, because especially for African Americans, we don't come from Africa. And in Africa, sometimes Africans don't accept African Americans because they don't feel like we truly embrace that culture or represent that culture. And then you see now with the police brutality in America that we really can't even call this home because we are not as accepted here. And so I feel like being a Black owned business, it allows me to have such pride in who I am, because I believe the culture for Black people is that we create. We are creators. We were created by God. God is the chief creator. He created all things. And when he refers to mankind, he calls us the creation. And so when I really think about being a Black owned business and embracing culture, we just create. And so for me, supporting Black owned businesses is really, really important, because when you think there was once a Black Wall Street, and we no longer have Black Wall Street. And I believe it's because of some of the underhand things that happen. So when you encounter a Black owned business that doesn't meet your standard, at what point do you, as the client and as a African American person yourself, go to that Black owned business to tell them what they did wrong and give them constructive criticism so they can be better? If we truly want to see Black businesses excel, if we truly want to see Black Wall Street, if we truly want to see African Americans have something they can call their own that no one can take from them, then we have to support Black businesses. We have to circulate our dollar in our own community. We have to see that we are equal when it comes to talent, and sometimes more. When you look at the NFL and the NBA, what do you see? You see colored people, because God has crafted us to have athletic abilities that other races do not have. And so when you think about Black owned businesses and the fact that we are able to create, there are thousands of Black owned bakers, and we don't have to compete, because there's enough for everyone to eat. I truly believe that. And I truly believe if we continue to sow into Black businesses, we will see our Black community grow, and we will see a different level of pride. And we are also setting a standard for our children and future generations. And so supporting Black owned businesses is certainly the way to go, especially in the climate of today, if you want to see our communities grow and for us to actually leave a footprint on this earth. My goals for the next 5 or 10 years. So the number one goal is for me to become a full-time entrepreneur. Right now I still work a full-time job. So I am actually balancing 3 to 4 different businesses. I am an author. So I'm working on another book in tribute of my father's passing. I have my baking business, Kisses from the Father. I also own a meal prep business called the Macro Bar. My husband is entrepreneur. He has and God a urban Christian clothing line. He also has Brad B Graphics, which is his graphic design business. So we juggle massive amounts of jobs, entrepreneurial jobs on top of a full-time job. We are both bodybuilders. And so in the next 5 years, I truly want to go full-time entrepreneurship. I want to build wealth and an empire for my children. I want to leave them something not behind, but I want to leave them something they can look forward to running. I want to own a company. I actually want to own a brand where I can create jobs for African Americans and so into African American youth and young adults. I'm still a young adult myself, but I truly want to in the next 5 years grow my business so I can do it full time. I want to travel the world and just speak. I love talking. I love God. I believe God put something in me that lights a fire when I'm able to speak in front of people. And so in the next 5 years, I just truly want to see myself walk in the fullness of my calling and my anointing, which God has given me through business and through any other adventures he's going to take me on. Life is a journey, not a destination. And I just believe that 5 years, the Bible says, eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard, neither have entered to the hearts of man all that God has planned for you. And so I truly believe that I'm just scraping the surface of what God has set aside for me. And so I just plan to explore more and to go deeper into God and to take on my businesses full time in the next 5 years.
Basically, it's the entertainment.
Bite TV.